Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Aliens Rescuing Newt Deluxe set. This up from my local comic book store, and for those who didn't get a chance to get the SDCC, I think it was a SDCC release of Newt, now you have your opportunity not only to get a Newt, but also a Ripley as well. And these are hidden retail stores. So that's one beautiful thing about these, that you're not having to chase these online to try to find yourself a release of this. So very, very cool. It's recommended for ages 17 and up. Front of the box has some artwork from the original Aliens movie. Aliens is also celebrating 30th anniversary. Unfortunately, this review comes with some sad news. Actually, the day that I'm shooting this video, an hour ago, I found out that actor Bill Paxton died. The gentleman who played, of course, was it Hudson? I guess Hudson from Aliens. So some sad news. I guess I planned to review this, and just by virtue of doing it, Universal aligns itself to some sad news regarding one of the cast members of Aliens. So some sad news. Inside of the box, you've got Aliens Rescuing Newt Deluxe set. The back of the package. Barely making it back to Earth after her first alien encounter, Ripley discovers that a colony was established on LV-426 in the 57 years she floated in space in cryogenic sleep. When the settlement goes silent, Ripley reluctantly accompanies a group of colonial marines on a search and rescue mission, hoping for the best. But a familiar deadly menace awaits her. They find only one survivor, a plucky little girl nicknamed Newt, as the Marines are picked off one by one. Ripley arms herself and vows to protect Newt at all costs, even if it means facing the aliens alone again. The set includes a Ripley and Newt action figure, Ripley's flamethrower pulse rifle accessory with attachable fire effect, which you can see right here. To check out more from the folks over at NECA, you can head over to www.necaonline.com, and just before we open up the box, you can open up the interior flap, and you can see an image, nice image here of the Alien Queen, which we've looked at before on this channel, as well as Alien and Ripley and Newt. The other side of the package, you can see the two figures in tow, and you can also see probably the price that I paid for this. This was $62 at my local comic book store. I've been looking around, and actually prices for comic book store wise, prices for figures have been going up, so that's a real shame. But at least we get our hands on finally a Ripley and Newt 2-pack. Can't wait to get this opened up. Sad news aside, Bill Paxton, you will be missed, sir, but we will move on as we take a break. I'm going to open this up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Aliens Deluxe Rescuing Newt set. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Now that we have Ripley and Newt out of packaging, let's get a better look at some of the accessories. This spot's got a little bit of styrofoam on his finger here. Let's have a look at the accessories that come included with the figure. Now, I did leave this in the bag just because it's such a small accessory piece. You can see that Newt comes with the head of her doll. Nice to include it. I always appreciate when NECA can include accessory pieces like this, but the piece is so small, I know I'm going to lose it. Henceforth, this is why I just kept it in the bag. You can see there is the doll head. A nice little added touch of detail. Appreciate that when they can always do that. One of the other things that comes included with Ripley is that she comes with a flame attack, a flame effect, if you will. Somewhat a translucent yellow, and then they've added some additional fiery red to the tips or to the ends here. Really makes it look nice and bright. You can go ahead and attach it. Now, to attach it, you basically have to follow the same shape. So for example, see how it's kind of got a, I want to say almost like a keyhole shape. It has to line itself out with the tip of the flamethrower. So you just line the two up, attach into place. No issues at all with it attaching to itself to the flamethrower. Don't know if I would be using it necessarily while she's holding Newt, but nonetheless, it's a nice accompanying piece to an already a nice showcase. Like, this is a great way to showcase the figure. Ultimately, though, this is probably how I'm going to be displaying the figure anyways, by having the two side by side. You could probably imagine, though, the figures are removable from one another. You can just move Ripley's arm out of the way. I deliberately took it and kept it in the way the packaging had it, just so you can see how it comes apart. We'll put Ripley here for a second, get her hopefully to stand up straight. There we go. And we can have a look at Newt. Now, Newt has this elastic band around her arms just to kind of keep everything secure and keep her latched onto Ripley. Rest assured, though, she is posable. She still has all the posability one would expect to find. There we go. Get her arms all straightened up. Sculpt-wise, it looks great. It looks just like Newt. I love the face sculpt that they've given it. Nice, wet, dirtied hair on Newt here as well. She's got her overalls with one of the overall straps hanging down off the back there. Little tiny running shoes also that they've sculpted in there. Hopefully you can see it there. There we go. Very dingy, very dirty presentation here of Newt, which fits perfectly the way that the character is presented in the movie. After all, she is one of the sole survivors. If you haven't, by the way, had a chance to see the director's cut of Aliens, I would say much better. It's a little longer, granted, but it actually does give some backstory between Newt. I think her brother's also in there as well. You see a little bit more of the backstory of what leads up to Newt. The only downside, though, is some people like the reveal of having Newt be discovered as the sole survivor. It's something, of course, that gets slightly omitted. Well, not omitted, but it gets slightly a little bit more watered down by seeing more of a backstory of her. But still, nonetheless, I appreciate the director's cut for the fact that we see more Newt. And, of course, we see like those robotic gun turrets shooting aliens, which is something that gets omitted all the time from the regular DVD release of it. Could get it in the director's cut. That's the way to go, if you ask me. But I quite like the coloring. Coloring on the face is good. Coloring on the overalls is good. Very well-rounded figure. And I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I waited and I didn't get the Newt set that I think was like an SDCC release. Waited it out. Sure enough, we got a Newt and Ripley together, which as it should be. Posability on Newt, her head is on a ball joint. It's a really weird ball joint, though. I guess it's just by the way her hair is sculpted. You can't really move her head too much. Her hair gets really in the way of everything. Little hinge on the shoulders. Despite her little tiny arms, she still has a full hinge on the shoulders, a rotation on her arms. She has the bend still in her elbow, a rotation in her forearm, and a rotation in her little tiny hands. It doesn't appear to have much in the way of waist swivel, just by, I guess, the fact that she does have a kind of rubber appliance over top of her torso. It doesn't really give you much to work with. There is a ball joint in there, but it's not like to say you can really do too much with it, because you move it around too much, it starts separating itself from the overall strap, so you kind of have to keep it in one place. Legs go forward and back, fairly easy. A bend at the knee, nice and easy there. A rotation on the lower leg, and of course, a ball joint in the foot. There is little tiny Newt. One of the other things, too, is that I like that NECA didn't just phone this in. Looking at the way that the packaging was presented and looking the way that Newt was posed, you know, if you had the arms up like this, and I think her legs were kind of like bent like this from what I remember. There we go. If you had it essentially like this, I'm glad that they didn't phone it in and just have her as a sculpted appliance that just held on to Ripley. And if you took her off, she would basically be this, just this statue. Luckily, they went above and beyond. They gave her articulation. I love you, NECA. I love you so much. So there's Newt. We'll put her right there. Hopefully she can stand. Okay, good. Okay, we got her stand. All right, let's have a look at Ripley. I like Ripley, but there's some issues with the paint. And I guess maybe because Newt is hiding some of this, that it kind of lessens the blow, I think, for what Ripley ended up becoming here. All right, let's start with her face. Here we go. Let's start at her face. They sculpted in her teeth, and they painted the teeth, but they, unfortunately, when they were painting the lower teeth, they ended up painting the lower lip in the process. So basically everything from the teeth down are white, including Ripley's lower mouth. It loses something And this would only be a figure-to-figure basis. I can't imagine this would be the case with every single figure release. But if you have picked up Ripley, there goes Newt. If you have a chance to pick up Ripley, let me know if she has the same quality issues when it comes to her teeth. It's a shame. The face isn't bad. The one problem I have, though, and I guess that would be now the second problem. The second problem I have with her is that her hair is excessively shiny. I get the fact that she's sweating, it's wet, her hair is damp, but it doesn't read as much wet hair as it reads more like use the wrong choice of paint. They went with something a little bit more slicked, and it ends up looking like she's just been doused with oil rather than having a more wet hair. It's a shame because I love the face sculpt. It's not perfect, but I like the face sculpt. But I think the hair, unfortunately, is just way too slicked and oil black, which is disappointing. Not that you could have given her a matte color, because the whole idea is that she's supposed to be more wet. I mean, she's holding Newt. She's gone off to rescue Newt in the very depths of this colony. Of course, her hair is going to be wet and slimy and covered with mucus and whatnot, but I feel like the hair reads, again, more kind of like just a wet black paint rather than her hair is wet. Just my opinion. You can remove this, her flamethrower / pulse rifle. You can remove both. They are affixed to one another, so you can't essentially remove them. I guess it doesn't look like you can remove them, nor would I really try to. It's a nice combination between the two. Of course, then incorporating the flame attachment is a nice added bonus to that as well. Very nice. Other than the face, which I think is a slight difference because I feel like the original face sculpt had a closed mouth. Other than that, the rest of Ripley's body is neutral, like default. This is the Ripley figure that we got before, and sure enough, getting it again. Right down to poor Sigourney Weaver's flat behind. Such a shame. She has her little ammunition harness strap going across her torso. I mean, theoretically, you could remove that as well. I like that they've painted like a darker, grimier looking paint wash on her shoulders and her front of her torso. Carries a little bit down into her belt portion, or her front torso, lower torso portion as well. Yeah, not a bad looking figure. I just don't really like, the hair's bothering me. Maybe I should let it not bother me as much. And unfortunately, it's a shame I can't overlook the fact that the teeth ended up painting the lower lip the same color. Posability on Ripley, it's essentially the same as Newt, just a little bit taller. She does have the ball joint in the head. Hinged shoulders. Now, a lot of this is really stiff on the figure, especially like the joint in the head. I find it's really stiff. Same full rotation on the shoulders, same bend and rotation in the forearm, rotation in the hand. Upper torso ball joint. Of course, forward and back motion on the legs, split legs as well. You can bend at the knee, but this knee is really stiff. This knee isn't as bad. You can rotate the lower leg, and of course you can hinge. Slight ankle pivot, but more a back and forth rock on the ankle there as well. Good looking pair of figures. Very happy that they actually released them as they did and not necessarily left Newt. Poor Newt, as stranded as she was on the planet, left her stranded as an SDCC release as well, which I think this was the only way initially you could get the figure. Luckily, NECA came through, got ourselves a retail release of the two, and couldn't be happier. Newt turned out quite nicely. Can't really say the same for Ripley, but I guess really if you wanted to, you could replace this Ripley with the other Ripley that we had before. Oh, there's Newt again. Hi, Newt. Needless to say, Spot found this at this set as a local comic book store. A little bit more expensive than I was hoping to pay for the set, but nonetheless, a pretty good set, well-rounded set as a whole. Today's Toy Spot, we were looking at the Rescuing Newt Deluxe set from the folks over at NECA, and this was also covering the Aliens line. Once again, a sad, sad news with the passing of Bill Paxton. I think it's Bill Paxton who played Hudson. I want to keep saying it's Hicks. It's not Hicks, it's Hudson. I think it's Hudson. It might not be. It might be Hicks. No. He's Hicks. I'm Hudson. I think it's Hudson. Anyways, Pat, sad news, Bill. Really liked watching you in movies, especially True Lies. I guess in some regards, I'll make this as a tribute to you. Not that that's Not that this humbled reviewer's video, I guess, means anything. But needless to say, I did enjoy him as an actor, and he will certainly be missed. Certainly also stay tuned, guys. Spot's got more videos heading your way as well. Certainly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.